In a criminology class at Washington State University, Bryan Kohberger, a doctoral student known for his intense curiosity, made a striking comment that caught the attention of his classmates and professor alike. He argued that families of murder victims, not the courts or the state, should have the ultimate authority to decide if a convicted killer receives the death penalty. It was a bold, controversial stance that sparked debate in the classroom, with some students unsettled by the idea. At the time, it was just an academic opinion, one that seemed like a hypothetical exercise, a topic for discussion and debate, nothing more. But that comment would later gain chilling real-world significance. No one in that classroom could have imagined that Kohberger himself would one day be accused of a brutal crime, forcing real families to confront the very question he once debated so passionately. His words, once theoretical, became a haunting premonition. Now, as his own fate, and the fate of 4 grieving families, hung in the balance, the line between academic debate and harsh reality blurred in the most tragic way. The irony is inescapable. The student of justice became the subject of justice, and his belief about the power of victims' voices would be tested in the harshest, most personal way imaginable. On November 13, 2022, 4 University of Idaho students, Kaylee Goncalves, Madison Mogen, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin, were found brutally murdered in their off-campus home. The shocking violence left the town of Moscow, Idaho, paralyzed with fear and grief. For weeks, the case baffled investigators and terrified the community. The breakthrough came when Bryan Kohberger, a criminology PhD student, was arrested in Pennsylvania, linked by DNA and digital evidence. The suspect was not a shadowy stranger, but a student of criminal minds. Kohberger was extradited to Idaho, charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder. The prosecution announced it would seek the death penalty, setting the stage for a high-profile trial. After years of legal wrangling and mounting evidence, a dramatic twist changed everything. Just before trial, Kohberger agreed to plead guilty to all charges in exchange for taking the death penalty off the table. He received 4 consecutive life sentences without parole. For prosecutors, the plea meant certainty and closure. No lengthy trial, no endless appeals. For the families, it spared them the trauma of reliving the crime in court. For Kohberger, it was a choice for life over death, a stark contrast to his victim's fate. The plea deal ended the legal battle, but left emotional wounds that would not heal so easily. The plea deal sent shockwaves through the victims' families, dividing them in ways no one could have anticipated. The families of Xana Kernodle, Ethan Chapin, and Madison Mogen ultimately supported the decision, feeling a sense of relief at being spared a long public trial and the uncertainty of years of appeals. For these families, the knowledge that Kohberger would spend the rest of his life behind bars, never to walk free again, offered a measure of closure and the first steps toward healing. Jim and Stacy Chapin spoke openly about their immediate sense of relief, expressing gratitude that the ordeal would not be drawn out further. The Mogen family echoed their support, emphasizing the importance of moving forward. Even Xana's mother, who was initially disappointed and struggled with the idea of a plea, came to see the deal as a way to protect her family from the re-traumatization of a lengthy trial and the constant reopening of wounds. But not all families felt heard. The Goncalves family, devastated, learned of the plea deal through an impersonal email rather than a direct conversation, which left them feeling isolated and betrayed by the process. They had hoped for the death penalty, believing it was the only true justice for Kaylee, and saw the plea as a denial of that justice. Their anger was raw and visible, their grief deepened by a system they felt had failed to honor their daughter's memory and their wishes. The case's irony only deepened the pain. Years earlier, Kohberger's own mother had publicly opposed the death penalty, a fact that now added another layer of complexity and heartache for the families left behind. The Kohberger case forces us to confront a difficult and deeply personal question. Should the families of victims have the power to decide if a killer lives or dies? This is not just a legal dilemma, but a moral one that strikes at the heart of our justice system. Kohberger himself once argued that families should have this authority, believing it would bring a sense of closure. Yet, as his own case unfolded, it became clear just how complicated and fraught that idea truly is. When families are divided, when their grief leads them to different conclusions, whose voice should carry the most weight? Is it possible for the justice system to honor every perspective? The Goncalves family's pain and determination argue for giving families a greater say, but the law must also consider justice for society as a whole, not just for those most directly affected. For some of the other families, peace was found not in retribution, but in the certainty and finality of the legal process, even if it meant accepting an outcome they did not choose. This case lays bare the tension between personal grief and the broader demands of public justice, revealing how difficult it is to balance compassion with fairness. There are no easy answers, only the ongoing debate about what justice truly means and who gets to define it in moments of tragedy. In the end, the voices of the families and the haunting echo of Kohberger's own words ensure that this question will remain alive in the public conscience, challenging us to reflect on the meaning of justice for years to come.